Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're getting into something a little different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be fun though, I think.
That's good.
We're going to be looking at the link between a traditional Indian mealtime chant and the science of digestion.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you ready to jump in?
Absolutely. I'm always down for a good deep dive.
Awesome. Well, growing up in an Indian household, this chant was like just part of life, you know.
I can imagine.
Vidani Kaval Geta Nam Gia Shri Harish.
Yeah.
Something we'd rattle off before meals.
Yeah, kind of like a reflex.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Without really
Yeah.
thinking about it much at all. But that's where our source material comes in, and that's the YouTube channel, Anagh Pravada.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they do a really great job of, digging deep into the meaning behind this chant. And what they found is pretty amazing.
So what are they saying? Like, what's so special about this chant?
Well, they point out that it's not just some random tradition. It actually reflects, a really deep understanding of digestion and mindful eating. It's like our ancestors were way ahead of the curve on this whole mindful eating thing.
That's so cool. Like, they had this knowledge way before it became a modern trend.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful lines in the chant is Udarbaran nohe janya yajna karma.
What does that mean?
Basically, it means eating isn't just filling your stomach. It's a sacred ritual, a yajna.
Okay, a yanya. I'm not familiar with that term.
Yeah, so think about a traditional fire ritual.
Okay.
They use these really pure offerings like sandalwood, ghee, and other special ingredients.
That's it.
And the idea is that what you offer to the fire should be the best, the most pure stuff.
So pure ingredients.
Right.
Yeah.
So is the chant saying our food should be like those pure offerings?
Exactly. It's saying that we should be focusing on the quality of the food we eat, choosing wholesome, nourishing ingredients for optimal health, but the connection goes even deeper than that.
Deeper. How so?
Well, think about it for a second. We take in solid food, right?
Right.
And then our stomach has to break it down into liquid form for digestion. It uses these powerful digestive juices and acids. It's kind of like an internal fire that transforms what we eat.
Wow. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's like our stomach is performing its own purification ritual, just like the fire in a yajna.
That's amazing.
Right.
I'm really starting to see how much depth there is to this simple chant.
Me too.
Yeah,
It's incredible how much wisdom is packed into these traditions.
absolutely. And it makes you wonder what other hidden gems are out there just waiting to be discovered.
Yeah, what else can we learn from these ancient practices?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely be exploring further in our next deep dive.
I can't wait.
It's like we're performing this ancient ritual every time we eat.
Yeah, it's a really cool way to look at it. And, this idea of eating as a sacred act, it's not just some ancient idea. It's actually gaining a lot of traction in modern science, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of scientific backing does this have?
Well, for starters, studies are showing that when we practice mindful eating, when we slow down, savor our food, pay attention to our body's signals, it can have a huge impact on our digestion.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're just gobbling down our food without even thinking about it,
Right.
our poor stomachs are probably like, whoa, what just hit me?
Exactly. Mindful eating helps our digestive system work more efficiently, but it goes way beyond just digestion. Studies also show that mindful eating can help with weight management.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, when we eat mindfully, we're more in tune with our body's hunger and fullness cues, so we're less likely to overeat because we're actually paying attention to when we're satisfied.
So it's like we're training ourselves to eat what our bodies actually need.
Exactly, instead of just mindlessly stuffing ourselves until we're uncomfortably full.
Right.
And you know what's even more fascinating? Research suggests that mindful eating can even impact our mental and emotional well-being.
Okay, now that's really interesting. How does mindful eating tie into our mental state?
Well, when we eat mindfully, we're bringing our full attention to the present moment. We're not dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We're simply focusing on the experience of eating.
It's like a mini meditation almost.
You got it. And that shift in focus can help reduce stress and anxiety and even boost our overall mood.
Wow, so this ancient wisdom about treating meals as a ritual is actually backed by modern science.
It is. It's like this beautiful intersection of tradition and modern understanding.
It really is, and it shows that our ancestors were really onto something with this whole mindful eating concept. They understood the connection between food and our well-being long before we had scientific studies to prove it.
Absolutely. They were way ahead of their time.
Okay, so I'm totally convinced that mindful eating is the way to go.
Yeah.
But let's be real, in our busy modern lives, it's not always easy to slow down and savor every bite.
You're absolutely right. It takes effort and practice. but even small steps can make a big difference.
So what are some practical things our listeners can do to start incorporating mindful eating into their lives?
Well, one of the simplest and most effective things is to just pause before you eat. Take a moment to appreciate the food in front of you.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Just taking that moment to kind of pause and just be grateful for the food
Yeah.
before we dig in.
Yeah, it's a small shift, but it can really make a difference.
Totally. Kind of resets us and gets us ready to actually nourish ourselves.
Exactly. And speaking of nourishing, remember that whole analogy of the yajna and the pure offerings?
Yeah.
Well, that translates to choosing wholesome, unprocessed foods as much as possible.
So ditching the processed stuff and focusing on real food, like what kind of things are we talking about?
Think vibrant fruits and veggies, hearty whole grains, lean proteins.
Okay, yeah, the good stuff.
Yeah. Foods that are as close to their natural state as possible.
Gotcha. So being mindful about what we eat, but what about portion control?
Right. That's where tuning into our body's cues comes in.
Okay.
One simple trick is to use smaller plates.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It can actually trick your brain into thinking you're eating more than you are, so you end up feeling satisfied with less.
Yeah, it's so much better than that overstuffed feeling,
Yeah.
like I need a nap after this.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Slow down and chew your food thoroughly.
Okay.
Not only does it aid digestion, but it allows you to savor the flavors and textures.
It makes sense because when you're just like wolfing down to your food, you barely even taste it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It turns eating from a mindless act to a sensory experience, which can also help with portion control.
Oh, how so?
When you're truly present with each bite, you're more likely to recognize when you're actually full.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest challenges, though, for a lot of people, myself included, is like distractions while eating, scrolling through our phones or having the TV on in the background.
Yeah, you're right. It's like we're multitasking even when we're supposed to be nourishing ourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But remember that concept of swaha. Each bite is like an offering, something to be mindful of.
So basically, ditch the distractions.
Yeah.
And give our food our undivided attention.
Exactly. Try creating a peaceful environment for your meals. Maybe dim the lights, put on some calming music, anything that helps you disconnect from the outside world and focus on the present moment.
I like that, turning mealtime into like a mini meditation.
Exactly. It's a chance to recharge and reconnect with ourselves.
Yeah, this deep dive has really highlighted how much wisdom is packed into this simple mealtime chant.
It really has. We've gone from a childhood rhyme to a whole new understanding of mindful eating, connecting ancient wisdom with modern practices.
And what's amazing is that it's not about like rigid rules or deprivation. It's about making small conscious choices that can have a big impact on our well-being.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a deeper relationship with food and honoring the nourishment it provides.
I love that. So as we wrap up this episode, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
I'd say just remember the wisdom of this ancient chant and experiment with bringing more mindfulness into your own eating habits. You might be surprised at the positive effects it has on your life, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well.
It's like a recipe for a healthier, happier life.
Exactly.
And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity to explore the richness of your own cultural heritage.